Some memories never fade. They have fur, bright eyes, and the gift of loving us without saying a word. Because every dog carries a story, and maybe a part of yours. Get ready to discover more than a breed. Discover a lifelong companion.
When you see a Siberian Husky for the first time, it's almost impossible not to be fascinated by those piercing ice blue eyes. They seem to shine with an ancestral intelligence, carrying with them the mysteries of Siberian glaciers and the northern lights. But what really causes this mesmerizing coloration? The answer is hidden in the depths of canine genetics, and the scientific truth behind these blue eyes is far more fascinating than any legend could suggest. For centuries, Siberian Huskies worked side by side with the Chukchi people in northeastern Siberia, pulling sleds through frozen landscapes and extreme conditions. Their unique characteristics were shaped by natural selection and human work over thousands of years. Among these features, blue eyes have always stood out as a trademark of the breed, although not all Huskies have them. Modern science has finally unraveled the genetic puzzle that explains why these dogs display such a rare coloration in the animal kingdom, and the answer has nothing to do with albinism, as many mistakenly think, nor is it related to coat color, as occurs in other breeds. The truth is surprisingly specific and involves a unique genetic mutation that was only recently identified. The genetics behind eye color. To understand why Huskies have blue eyes, we first need to understand how eye color works in mammals. Iris coloration is primarily determined by the amount and distribution of melanin, the same pigment that determines skin, hair, and coat color. The more melanin present in the iris, the darker the eyes. Brown eyes, the most common in dogs and humans, contain large amounts of melanin. Lighter eyes, such as green or blue, contain significantly less. But here's the crucial detail. In Siberian Huskies, blue eyes are not the result of an absence of melanin, as happens in cases of albinism. Instead, they are caused by a specific genetic mutation that affects how melanin is produced and distributed in the iris. This groundbreaking discovery was published in 2018 by a team of researchers who analyzed the DNA of more than 6,000 dogs. The genetic testing company Embark Veterinary conducted one of the largest canine genetic studies ever undertaken, examining data from thousands of dogs of different breeds. What they discovered was extraordinary. A DNA duplication on chromosome 18 was strongly associated with blue eyes in Siberian Huskies. This duplication occurs near a gene called ALX4, which plays an important role in eye development during gestation. This genetic mutation causes a reduction in melanin production specifically in the iris, resulting in the characteristic blue coloration. It's important to note that this is a completely different trait from what causes blue eyes in humans or other species. In Huskies, the mutation affects exclusively the eyes without impacting coat pigmentation or causing related health problems. The chromosome 18 duplication. The specific mutation identified in Huskies is technically called a duplication on chromosome 18, located near the ALX4 gene. But what does this mean in practice? During embryonic development, when the puppy is still forming in the mother's uterus, this genetic duplication interferes with the signals that would normally instruct iris cells to produce melanin in normal amounts. The ALX4 gene is known to be involved in craniofacial and ocular development in mammals. When there is a DNA duplication in this region, it acts as a genetic switch that reduces the expression of genes responsible for iris pigmentation. The result is an iris with less melanin, which allows light to scatter differently through the layers of the eye, creating the blue appearance we so admire. This discovery was revolutionary because, for the first time, scientists were able to identify a specific genetic cause for a physical characteristic in dogs that was not related to coat color. Traditionally, it was thought that blue eyes in dogs were always linked to genes affecting skin and coat coloration, such as the Merle gene in Australian Shepherds or the piebald gene in Border Collies. In Huskies, however, the mutation is independent. This means a Husky can have any coat color, black and white, gray and white, red and white, or even completely white, and still have blue eyes. The presence or absence of the chromosome 18 duplication is the only determining factor. Differences between blue eyes in different breeds. It's important to understand that not all blue eyes in dogs are created equal. There are several different genetic causes that can result in blue eyes, and each works distinctly. In Siberian Huskies, as we've seen, the cause is the specific duplication on chromosome 18, but in other breeds, completely different mechanisms are at play. In breeds like Australian Shepherds, Border Collies, and Catahoula leopard dogs, blue eyes are often the result of the Merle gene. This gene affects pigment distribution not only in the eyes but also in the coat, creating a characteristic spotted or mottled pattern. Merle dogs frequently have blue eyes, but this comes accompanied by a specific coat and, in some cases, can be associated with health problems when two Merle genes are inherited. In predominantly white breeds, such as the white Swiss Shepherd or some Dalmatians, blue eyes may be related to the piebald gene, which causes large areas of white coat. This gene can affect melanocyte migration during embryonic development, resulting in areas without pigmentation, including the iris. Albino dogs, which are extremely rare, may also have eyes that appear blue or even pinkish due to the complete absence of pigmentation. However, true albinism is a medical condition that affects all melanin production in the body and can be associated with health problems, especially sensitivity to sunlight and vision issues. What makes Siberian Huskies so special is that their blue eyes are the result of a unique genetic mechanism that is not tied to any of these other conditions. They are not Merle, not piebald, not albino. Their blue eyes exist independently as a distinctive characteristic shaped by centuries of evolution in extreme Arctic conditions. Heterochromia. When each eye tells a story, one of the most striking features that can occur in Siberian Huskies is heterochromia, the condition where each eye has a different color. You might see a husky with one blue eye and one brown eye, and this dramatic combination has become almost as iconic as pure blue eyes. Heterochromia occurs when the genetic mutation causing blue eyes affects only one of the eyes during embryonic development. There are two main types of heterochromia in dogs: complete heterochromia, where each eye is a completely different color, and partial or sectoral heterochromia, where parts of a single eye contain different colors, creating a pie slice effect, or patches of colors within the same iris. Both types can occur in Siberian Huskies. From a genetic perspective, complete heterochromia happens when the chromosome 18 duplication affects the development of only one eye. During embryonic development, the cells that form each eye develop semi-independently. If the genetic mutation is expressed during the development of only one eye, the result is one blue eye and another that develops normal pigmentation, usually brown. Partial heterochromia, on the other hand, can occur when gene expression is inconsistent within the same eye. Some iris cells receive the signal to produce less melanin, while others produce normal amounts, creating a mottled pattern of colors within the same iris. Contrary to some popular beliefs, heterochromia in Siberian Huskies is not associated with health or vision problems. Dogs with this condition see perfectly well and experience no visual impairment related to the color difference. It's simply a fascinating aesthetic variation that adds even more character to these already impressive dogs. In fact, many husky breeders and enthusiasts consider heterochromia highly desirable, and dogs with different colored eyes often attract even more attention than those with both blue eyes. It's as if each eye tells a different story of the dog's genetic heritage, a visual window into the complex dance of genes that occurs during development. The physics of blue color. While genetics determine whether a husky will have blue eyes, physics explains why we see this specific color. The blue color of eyes doesn't come from blue pigment, but rather from an optical phenomenon called Rayleigh scattering, the same phenomenon that makes the sky appear blue. When there is less melanin in the iris, light penetrates the deeper layers of the eye and interacts with the tissue structures present there. Shorter wavelength light, blue, is scattered back out, while longer wavelengths, red and yellow, are absorbed. This preferential scattering of blue light is what creates the characteristic blue appearance. The iris layers contain collagen and other proteins that act as scattering particles. The less melanin present to absorb light, the more obvious the scattering effect becomes. This is why blue eyes can appear to change shade depending on lighting. They're not actually changing color, but rather reflecting and scattering ambient light in different ways. In bright light environments, a husky's blue eyes can appear almost whitish or glacial. In softer light or shade, they may appear deeper, almost navy. This chameleon-like quality adds to the mystique of these impressive eyes, making them seem alive and constantly transforming. Interestingly, husky puppies are born with eyes that may appear blue-gray or even indefinite in color. As they grow and develop during the first weeks and months of life, the true color of their eyes becomes apparent. This occurs because melanin production in the iris continues after birth, and it takes time for the final coloration to stabilize. Evolutionary advantages in the Arctic environment. For thousands of years, Siberian Huskies evolved in the brutal conditions of the far north, where temperatures can drop below 50 degrees Celsius and reflected snow can create extremely bright light conditions. An interesting question then arises: could there be any evolutionary advantage to having blue eyes in this environment? While there is no conclusive scientific evidence that blue eyes provide significant vision advantages in the Arctic, there are some interesting theories. Some researchers speculate that reduced iris pigment could theoretically allow more light to enter the eye in low light conditions, something that would be useful during long Arctic winters when sunlight is scarce. However, most scientists believe that blue eyes in huskies are probably a result of genetic drift and the founder effect, rather than an active natural selection. The Chukchi people who developed the breed lived in a relatively isolated and small group. When a mutation occurs in a small population and doesn't cause survival problems, it can spread simply by chance, especially if individuals carrying it reproduce successfully. It's also possible that the Chukchi actively preferred dogs with blue eyes for aesthetic or cultural reasons, intentionally selecting for this trait over generations. Many cultures around the world have attributed special meanings to animals with unusual features, and it's not hard to imagine that bright blue eyes might have been seen as desirable or even mystical. What we know for certain is that blue eyes do not harm the vision or health of Siberian Huskies. They see perfectly well, have the same visual acuity as brown-eyed dogs, and do not experience increased light sensitivity that could hinder their work in bright, snowy environments. Nature allowed this trait to persist because it offered no significant disadvantages. Common myths and misconceptions. As happens with many unique features in animals, blue eyes in Siberian Huskies have been surrounded by myths and misconceptions over the years. One of the most persistent is the belief that Huskies with blue eyes have inferior vision or are more prone to eye problems. This is completely false. Veterinary studies have shown no correlation between eye color and ocular health in Siberian Huskies. Another common myth is that blue eyes indicate the dog has wolf blood or is more wild somehow. While Siberian Huskies are genetically one of the oldest breeds and most closely related to ancient wolves, eye color has nothing to do with this. Wild wolves almost never have blue eyes. They typically have yellow, amber, or brown eyes. Blue eyes in Huskies are a specifically domestic trait. Some people mistakenly believe that all Huskies have blue eyes. In reality, eye color in Siberian Huskies can vary considerably. While blue eyes are certainly common and iconic to the breed, many Huskies have brown, amber, or even green eyes. Some have heterochromia, and all these variations are completely normal and accepted in breed standards. There's also the mistaken idea that blue eyes in Huskies are always linked to white or light-colored coats. As we've already discussed, the genetic mutation causing blue eyes in Huskies is independent of the genes determining coat color. A Husky can have predominantly black coat and still have bright blue eyes, a particularly impressive combination. Finally, some people confuse blue eyes in Huskies with albinism. True albinism is extremely rare in dogs and results in complete absence of pigment throughout the body, including pink skin and eyes that may appear pinkish or red due to visible blood vessels. Huskies with blue eyes have normal pigmentation throughout their skin and coat. Only the iris has reduced melanin due to the specific chromosome 18 mutation. Other breeds with the same mutation. Although the chromosome 18 duplication was first identified in Siberian Huskies, subsequent research revealed that the same mutation can occur in other breeds and mixed breed dogs. This suggests the mutation may have arisen independently in different canine populations or may have been transmitted through crossbreeding throughout history. Interestingly, the same genetic mutation was found in some Australian cattle dogs, also known as blue heelers or red heelers. This discovery was surprising because these two breeds have completely different histories. Huskies evolved on Siberian glaciers, while Australian cattle dogs were developed in Australia in the 19th century to herd cattle. However, both can share this same unique genetic feature. In mixed-breed dogs that have Siberian Husky ancestry, the mutation can be passed on and result in blue eyes even in dogs that don't look much like purebred Huskies. This demonstrates the hereditary nature of this trait and how it can persist through generations. Even when other typical Husky physical traits are diluted by crossbreeding, the presence of this mutation in multiple breeds raises interesting questions about the evolutionary history of domestic dogs. Did the mutation arise once in a common ancestor and get passed to different lineages, or did it arise independently multiple times throughout canine history? Genetic research continues exploring these fascinating questions. What is clear is that the chromosome 18 mutation is not exclusive to Siberian Huskies, although it is in them that it is most frequent and most celebrated. This also means that if you see a mixed breed dog with impressive blue eyes, there's a good chance it carries Husky heritage or another breed carrying this specific mutation. Modern genetic testing. With advances in DNA sequencing technology, it's now possible to test dogs for the presence of the chromosome 18 duplication responsible for blue eyes. Companies like Embark Veterinary and Wisdom Panel offer canine DNA tests that not only identify breed but can also detect this and other genetic variants. These tests work by analyzing a sample of the dog's saliva or blood and comparing its DNA with massive databases of canine genetic information. When the specific duplication on chromosome 18 is detected, the test can predict with high probability whether the dog will have blue eyes even before the definitive eye color has fully developed. For responsible Siberian Husky breeders, this technology offers valuable information. They can identify which of their breeding dogs carry the blue eye gene and make informed crosses to produce litters with desired characteristics. This doesn't mean genetic manipulation or modification, simply simply using knowledge of natural genetics to make more informed breeding decisions. Genetic testing has also helped demystify many misconceptions about eye color inheritance in dogs. By providing concrete data about which genes are present, breeders and owners can better understand why certain puppies are born with certain traits and more accurately predict what future litters might look like. Additionally, this genetic research has broader implications for canine health. By mapping the canine genome and identifying specific variations like the chromosome 18 duplication, scientists are building fundamental knowledge that can help identify genes responsible for diseases, behaviors, and other important characteristics. Special care for blue eyes. A common question among new owners of blue-eyed huskies is whether these eyes require special care. The short answer is not necessarily. Huskies with blue eyes don't need significantly different eye care than those with brown eyes, but there are some general considerations that apply to all huskies. All dogs, regardless of eye color, can benefit from protection against excessive UV light in very bright environments. While dogs have their own natural protections against UV damage, prolonged exposure to intense sunlight reflected on snow, for example, can be uncomfortable. Some husky owners living in particularly sunny or snowy environments opt to use canine protective goggles during prolonged outdoor activities. However, it's important to emphasize that blue eyes in huskies are not more sensitive to light than brown eyes. The reduction of melanin in the iris does not significantly affect the eye's ability to protect against bright light or UV. Eye protection mechanisms, such as the pupil's ability to constrict in bright light, work the same way regardless of iris color. Like all dogs, huskies should have their eyes examined regularly by a veterinarian as part of routine healthcare. Certain eye conditions such as cataracts, glaucoma, or progressive retinal atrophy can affect huskies, but these conditions are not related to eye color. They have their own separate genetic and environmental causes. Owners should be alert to signs of eye problems in their huskies, including excessive redness, eye discharge, squinting, corneal opacity, or behavioral changes suggesting visual discomfort. These symptoms warrant a veterinary visit regardless of the dog's eye color. Cultural fascination with blue eyes. The blue eyes of Siberian Huskies capture human imagination in a way that goes beyond mere science. There's something deeply appealing about these penetrating eyes that seem to look through you, carrying the ancient wisdom of frozen lands. This fascination is reflected in popular culture, where blue-eyed huskies frequently appear in films, television shows, and social media. On the internet, images of blue-eyed huskies are among the most shared and popular of all dog photos. Their photogenic expressions and striking eyes make them natural Instagram, TikTok, and other platform stars. Some huskies with particularly impressive eyes have accumulated millions of followers, becoming true canine celebrities. This popularity has both positive and negative sides. On one hand, it increases awareness about the breed and can lead more people to appreciate these magnificent creatures. On the other hand, it can also lead to irresponsible breeding and impulsive acquisition of huskies by people who are attracted by the breed's appearance but aren't prepared for their substantial exercise, training, and attention needs. Culturally, blue eyes in animals have been associated with mysticism and spiritual power in many traditions around the world. While there's no evidence that the Chukchi people attributed specific spiritual meaning to their dog's blue eyes, it's easy to imagine how these bright eyes might have seemed almost supernatural under the northern lights or reflecting moonlight on snow. In fictional narratives, blue-eyed huskies often play roles as loyal and almost mystical companions, guides through frozen landscapes, or protectors with wisdom beyond their canine appearance. This romanticization reflects our human tendency to project meaning onto unique physical features, seeking explanations that go beyond basic biology. Comparison with human blue eyes. It's interesting to compare blue eyes in Siberian Huskies with blue eyes in humans, as although the visual result is similar, the underlying genetic mechanisms are completely different. In humans, blue eyes result from variations in the OCA2 gene and the HERC2 gene, which regulate melanin production in the iris. These variations are inherited recessively, meaning a person needs to inherit 2 copies of the blue eyes gene, one from each parent, to have blue eyes. In huskies, as we've seen, blue eyes are caused by the specific duplication on chromosome 18 near the ALX4 gene. This is a completely different genetic mechanism, and the inheritance doesn't follow the same simple recessive dominant pattern. A husky can inherit the duplication from just one parent and still have blue eyes, making the trait more complex in terms of inheritance than blue eyes in humans. Interestingly, in both humans and huskies, the blue color doesn't come from actual blue pigment, but from the Rayleigh scattering phenomenon discussed earlier. This is a fascinating coincidence of physics. The same optical principle creates the blue appearance in different species through similar cellular structures in the iris, even though the genetic causes are distinct. In humans, blue eyes evolved relatively recently in evolutionary history, probably emerging only 6,000 to 10,000 years ago. Before that, it's believed all humans had brown eyes. The mutation causing blue eyes in humans likely arose in a single person in the Black Sea region and spread throughout Europe. It's impressive to think that all blue-eyed people today can trace this trait back to that single ancestor. We don't know exactly when the mutation for blue eyes first arose in Siberian Huskies, but given the breed's relatively long isolation in the Arctic with the Chukchi people, it's possible it was hundreds or even thousands of years ago. The trait was sufficiently useful, or at least not harmful, to persist and become a breed trademark. The future of canine genetic research. The discovery of the genetic basis for blue eyes in Siberian Huskies represents just the tip of the iceberg in terms of what we can learn through modern canine genetics. As DNA sequencing technology becomes more accessible and powerful, we're entering a golden age of understanding canine genetics. Researchers are now mapping not just obvious physical traits like eye and coat color, but also behavioral traits, disease predispositions, and even aspects of personality. Each discovery adds a piece to the complex puzzle of how genes influence dog development and characteristics. For Siberian Huskies specifically, there's ongoing research exploring other aspects of their unique genetics. For example, how do these dogs regulate their body temperature so efficiently in extremely cold temperatures? What genes are involved in their exceptional metabolism that allows them to pull sleds for long distances without fatigue? Are there other unique mutations that helped this breed thrive in the brutal Arctic environment? Understanding blue-eye genetics also has potential implications for human health. Although the specific mechanisms are different, studying how the chromosome 18 duplication affects eye development in dogs can provide insights into ocular development in mammals generally. This may eventually contribute to our understanding of human eye conditions. Additionally, the methodology used to identify the blue eye mutation, analyzing large data sets from thousands of dogs and correlating physical characteristics with genetic variations, is establishing a standard for future research. This big data approach to genetics is revealing connections that would be impossible to identify through traditional small-scale research methods. Preservation and responsible breeding. Scientific understanding of blue eyes in Siberian Huskies also brings responsibilities for breeders and breed enthusiasts. While blue eyes are desirable and beautiful, they are just one of many important characteristics that define a healthy, well-bred Siberian Husky. Responsible breeders prioritize health, temperament, and physical conformation above aesthetic features like eye color. A brown-eyed husky with excellent physical structure, good health, and appropriate breed temperament is infinitely more valuable than a dog with impressive blue eyes but with health problems or inadequate temperament. Unfortunately, the popularity of blue eyes in huskies sometimes leads to irresponsible breeding, where unscrupulous breeders prioritize this trait above everything else. This can result in dogs with health problems, inappropriate temperaments, or other deficiencies. Ethical breeders use extensive health testing, including hip, eye, and other body system examinations, to ensure they're producing healthy puppies regardless of eye color. It's also important to recognize that not all huskies have or should have blue eyes. The variety of eye colors, blue, brown, amber, green, or heterochromia, is part of the breed's natural diversity and should be celebrated, not discriminated against. Breed organizations like the American Kennel Club, AKC, and the Siberian Husky Club of America recognize and accept all eye colors in Siberian Huskies. In official breed standards, blue, brown, or different colored eyes are all considered acceptable and equally desirable. This reflects a wise understanding that the overall quality of the dog is much more important than any isolated aesthetic feature. Preserving the Siberian Husky breed involves maintaining healthy genetic diversity. Focusing excessively on a single trait like blue eyes could, over time, reduce that diversity and potentially introduce health problems through excessive inbreeding. Responsible breeders work to maintain healthy and genetically diverse populations, where the blue eye mutation is just one among many valuable characteristics. The experience of looking into husky eyes up close. For those who have had the privilege of looking directly into the blue eyes of a Siberian Husky, the experience is difficult to describe. There's an intensity in that gaze that seems to go beyond typical human-dog connection. It's not just the impressive color, but the intelligent expression, the depth that seems to contain centuries of evolutionary history. When a husky looks at you with those crystalline blue eyes, you can almost imagine seeing through them the vast expanses of Siberian tundra, feeling the icy Arctic wind, and hearing the distant howl of their ancestors crossing frozen landscapes. Of course, this is romanticization on our part. The dog is probably thinking about dinner or wondering when the next walk will be, but the physical appearance of these eyes powerfully invokes these images. The shape of husky eyes also contributes to their striking expression. They are slightly almond-shaped and positioned obliquely, giving the face an alert and intelligent expression. When combined with bright blue coloration and the breed's characteristic facial markings, often including a dark mask around the eyes, the visual effect is extraordinary. Professional photographers often comment on the challenge and reward of capturing a husky's eyes in images. The color can be difficult to reproduce accurately in photography, and lighting needs to be exactly right to capture the depth and intensity of the color. But when captured perfectly, a photo of a husky's eyes can be absolutely hypnotic. Blue-eyed husky owners frequently report that these eyes are one of the first things people comment on when meeting their dogs. Strangers on the street stop to admire. Children are fascinated, and other dog owners often express envy or admiration. These eyes become a calling card, a distinctive feature that makes each husky memorable. Blue eyes in puppies versus adults. An interesting aspect of blue eyes in huskies is how they develop from birth to adulthood. All husky puppies are born with closed eyes, which open after approximately 10 to 14 days of life. When the eyes first open, they generally appear bluish or blue-gray in all puppies, regardless of what their final eye color will be. This can be confusing for breeders and new owners trying to predict what the puppy's final eye color will be. During the first weeks of life, it's difficult or impossible to say for certain whether a puppy will have permanent blue eyes or if they'll darken to brown. The true eye color usually begins to become apparent between 5 and 8 weeks of age, but may continue to develop and stabilize until the puppy is 3 or 4 months old. Puppies carrying the chromosome 18 duplication will maintain blue eyes as they mature. The color may intensify and become more vivid with age, but will remain blue. In puppies without the mutation, melanin continues to be deposited in the iris over the first weeks and months of life, and the eyes gradually become brown, amber, or green. The eye color change process can be uneven and may create concern in novice owners who aren't familiar with normal development. One eye may seem to start darkening before the other, or parts of an eye may darken while other areas remain clear. Generally, everything stabilizes eventually, resulting in the adult's final eye coloration. In rare cases, a husky may appear to have blue eyes as a puppy, but they darken slightly with age, resulting in a darker blue or almost gray shade in adulthood. This can occur when there's some melanin production in the iris, but not enough to result in completely brown eyes. The result may be a unique and beautiful color that's neither fully blue nor brown. Regional differences and lineages. While Siberian Huskies are a relatively uniform breed compared to some other dog breeds, there are some differences between lineages from different regions and breeding programs. Some breeders specialize in working or racing lines, where the focus is on athletic performance, while others focus on show or exhibition lines, where conformation to breed standards is prioritized. Interestingly, there doesn't appear to be a strong correlation between lineage type and blue eye prevalence. Both working and show huskies can have blue-brown eyes or heterochromia. The genetic mutation responsible for blue eyes is present in both types of lineages and doesn't appear to be linked to other traits that differentiate working dogs from show dogs. However, different breeders and breeding programs may have preferences that affect the frequency of blue eyes in their puppies. Some breeders may prefer the impressive look of blue eyes and may unconsciously select for this trait when choosing breeding dogs. Others may have no particular preference and allow natural variation to occur in their breeding programs. Geographically, huskies in different parts of the world may show subtle variations in appearance, but again, eye color appears to be consistently variable regardless of location. Huskies in North America, Europe, Asia, and Australia all show the same range of eye colors, reflecting the genetically coded nature of this trait rather than environmental adaptation. It's also interesting to note that in dog shows and sled competitions, eye color doesn't affect scoring or performance. Show judges evaluate overall conformation, movement, and breed type, but don't give extra points for blue eyes. Similarly, in sled racing, speed, endurance, and teamwork are what matter, not the eye color of the dogs. Implications for other scientific research. The identification of the chromosome 18 duplication as the cause of blue eyes in Siberian Huskies has implications that go far beyond mere curiosity about beautiful dogs. This discovery contributes to our broader understanding of how genes regulate development and physical appearance in mammals, including humans. The ALX4 gene, near which the duplication occurs, is known to play important roles in craniofacial development. Mutations in this gene in humans have been associated with certain developmental conditions, including defects in skull closure. Studying how variations near this gene affect ocular development in dogs may provide insights into similar developmental processes in humans. Additionally, The methodology used to identify this mutation, combining analysis of large genetic datasets with observable physical characteristics, is becoming increasingly important in human medical research. This genome-wide association study, GWS approach, is helping researchers identify genes associated with complex diseases, physical traits, and even aspects of behavior and personality. Dogs are particularly valuable for this type of research because, unlike humans, they have undergone intense artificial selection for hundreds or thousands of years. This has created breeds with distinct and relatively uniform characteristics, making it easier to identify the genes responsible for specific traits. Lessons learned. Studying canine genetics often have direct applications in understanding human genetics. Research on blue eyes in huskies also demonstrates how seemingly simple traits can have complex and specific genetic bases. It's not just a matter of more or less melanin, it's about specific mutations in specific genome locations affecting specific developmental pathways. This complexity underlines the importance of detailed research rather than assuming we understand genetic mechanisms just by observing physical characteristics. The emotional connection between humans and huskies. There's something deeply human about our attraction to expressive eyes, whether they're from other humans or animals. Eyes are often called windows to the soul, and we make eye contact to establish connection, communicate emotions, and build relationships. When a dog has eyes as striking as a blue-eyed husky's, that visual connection becomes even more powerful. Scientific research has shown that when humans and dogs make eye contact, both experience an increase in the hormone oxytocin, the same hormone associated with bonding between mothers and babies. This oxytocin feedback loop strengthens the emotional bond between humans and dogs, creating feelings of love, trust, and attachment. The particularly impressive blue eyes of a husky can intensify this experience. The unusual and striking color captures our attention and invites us to look deeper, facilitating that prolonged eye contact that strengthens bonds. It's not surprising that many husky owners report exceptionally strong emotional connections with their dogs. This emotional connection has practical implications for training and living with huskies. These dogs are known for being independent and sometimes stubborn, traits that were valuable when they worked on sleds in the Arctic and needed to make independent decisions. But a strong emotional bond, facilitated in part by that powerful eye contact, can help overcome some of these training challenges. However, it's important to remember that while blue eyes are visually impressive, the true connection with a husky, or any dog, comes from mutual respect, quality time together, consistent training, and meeting the dog's physical and emotional needs. Blue eyes may initiate the attraction, but lasting relationships are built on a much more substantial foundation. Considerations for prospective owners. If you're considering acquiring a Siberian Husky and are attracted by the possibility of having a blue-eyed dog, there are several important things to consider. First, and most important, eye color should never be the determining factor in choosing a dog. Temperament, health, and whether the breed's needs fit your lifestyle are much more important. Siberian Huskies are athletic working dogs that were bred to run long distances in cold climates. They have substantial exercise needs, at least 1 to 2 hours of vigorous physical activity daily. They're also known for being talented escape artists, enthusiastic diggers, and can be destructive if they don't receive adequate mental and physical stimulation. Additionally, Huskies have a dense double coat that sheds abundantly, especially during shedding seasons twice a year. They're not suitable for extremely hot climates without appropriate precautions and require regular brushing to maintain a healthy coat. They also have a strong natural prey drive and may not be suitable for homes with cats or other small pets. If after considering all these needs you're still certain a husky is right for you, seek a responsible and reputable breeder. A good breeder will be more interested in ensuring you're suitable for one of their puppies than making a quick sale. They'll ask questions about your lifestyle, dog experience, and expectations. Responsible breeders will also be transparent about health testing, allow you to meet at least the mother of the puppies, and ideally the father too, and provide health and vaccination records. They'll never guarantee the specific eye color of puppies because although they can genetically test for the mutation, physical characteristics can vary and development can be unpredictable. Also remember that rescues and shelters frequently have huskies available for adoption. These dogs may be adults with already established eye colors, and you might find the blue-eyed husky of your dreams while also providing a loving home to a dog in need. Blue eyes and breed identity. Blue eyes have become so associated with Siberian Huskies that for many people, they're almost synonymous with the breed. When someone imagines a husky, often the first image that comes to mind is of a dog with black and white or gray and white coat and piercing blue eyes. This strong association shows how a single physical characteristic can become central to a breed's identity. However, This strong association also creates challenges. As mentioned earlier, not all huskies have blue eyes, and they shouldn't need to have them to be considered true huskies. Excessive emphasis on blue eyes can lead to the unjust devaluation of perfectly wonderful huskies that have brown or other colored eyes. Breeders and breed educators work to combat these misconceptions, emphasizing that huskies are much more than just a pretty eye color. They're hardy working dogs with a rich history, distinct personalities, and a range of physical characteristics that include, but aren't limited to, blue eyes. A husky is defined by its temperament, physical structure, movement, and overall type, not just by eye color. This issue of breed identity versus individual physical characteristics is relevant to many dog breeds. Each breed has certain features that become iconic. A Dalmatian's spots, a Basset Hound's long ears, a Poodle's curly coat. But responsible breeders and breed enthusiasts know that these isolated features don't define the entire breed. For the future of the Siberian Husky breed, it's important to maintain a balance between celebrating the characteristics that make the breed visually distinctive, including blue eyes when present, and recognizing the full range of healthy and natural variation within the breed. This ensures preservation of genetic diversity and overall health of the husky population. Conclusion: more than just beauty. The blue eyes of Siberian Huskies are undoubtedly one of the most impressive and recognizable physical features in the canine world. The discovery of the chromosome 18 duplication as the specific genetic cause of this coloration represents a triumph of modern science and demonstrates how genetic research can reveal the hidden mysteries in physical traits we've admired for centuries. But beyond science and genetics, Huskies' blue eyes remind us of the depth of connection between humans and dogs. They capture our imagination, spark our curiosity, and deepen the emotional bonds we feel with these extraordinary canine companions. When we look into a husky's blue eyes, we see not just a beautiful color, but a window into thousands of years of evolution, adaptation, and partnership between humans and dogs. These eyes connect us to the history of the Chukchi people and their lives in Siberia's frozen landscapes. They remind us of the resilience, strength, and indomitable spirit that define the Siberian Husky breed, and they demonstrate the beauty of genetic diversity and the wonderful complexity of biology that makes each dog unique. Whether you're a scientist fascinated by genetics, a dedicated breeder working to preserve the breed, a passionate owner of your husky companion, or simply someone who appreciates the natural beauty of the animal world, Siberian Huskies' blue eyes offer something special. They're a reminder that even seemingly simple questions, why do some dogs have blue eyes, can lead to fascinating scientific discoveries and a deeper appreciation of life's complexity. As genetic research continues advancing, we'll certainly learn even more about Siberian Huskies and other dog breeds. Each discovery adds to our understanding and appreciation of these remarkable animals that share our lives. But no matter how much science we unravel, there will always be something magical about looking into a husky's blue eyes, a connection that transcends genetics and touches something deeply human in our need for companionship, beauty, and connection with the natural world. Siberian Huskies, with their piercing blue or warm brown eyes, will continue to captivate future generations just as they have for thousands of years. And now, armed with scientific knowledge about what makes these blue eyes possible, we can appreciate them not just as a beautiful anomaly, but as a testament to the wonderful complexity of genetics, evolution, and the enduring partnership between humans and dogs that shaped these extraordinary creatures.